The moment the child takes birth, it is all what he feels, the vibrations of anxiety all around. So that is how they learn the different kind of feelings in them. So when we talk about the young children, they have different causes of anxiety and they show it in a different way. And when we go to the little younger teenagers and the young adults, so they have their different reasons of. So let us, as an adult and teacher, how we can help these children who are so unaware of these feelings. So they are so alien to them. They can't understand what's going on with them, and so it is, as adult we are only able to help them if we understand that what is anxiety, how it comes, how it works, and what are the impacts, and what are the strategies that can help us to us, not only ourselves to cope up with the anxiety, but also with the children, how that we can teach them to be children. So I would just like to share my screen here. Uh, I hope I can do that. Very quickly, I will go with that. So, anxiety. Let us talk. Understand what is your understanding about anxiety. If I ask you here, second moment, stop it, and we can have a discussion. What do you, each of us, you as a parent, you as an educator, what do you think the anxiety is, and how? Stephen, go ahead.
So anxiety being that extended periods of stress. So it's the stress caused by focusing on a very specific thing. And I think it tends to be things that can't be that are believed not to be changeable. So an example of that would be um, saying, well, I am not good at taking tests. And then when a test comes up, now you're having these feelings of overwhelm, you're having this, the increased heart rate, all of these physical symptoms. But then at the same time, um, it's prolonged. It's having a negative effect. It might be causing changes in sleep. It might be causing changes in eating habits, or even thinking or feeling patterns.
Thank you so much. Anybody else would like to go with? Yeah, Gabby.
Yeah, if you think about what we learned, that the basic idea of anxiety is actually the fear of the future. So what Stephen just said, if you're not good at taking a test in a subject because you've learned you're not good at that subject, the reason the stress comes is actually because it's a fear of the failure of the test. I'm going to fail at the test. My parents will give out, the school will give out. And then they were taught that if you're not good in school, you won't get a good job. So you're going to starve as an adult. So it's all fear-based. And behind it, because that's what it is. We're fear of failure, fear of rejection of the parents. And that's I think one of the main issues.
Thank you, Gabby. Yes, Soham.
For me, I agree 100% with Stephen and Gabby. But I'm going to share a bit of my experience that when I feel anxiety is when I have too much to do, or I think I have got loads to do, and I haven't put them in places. So, you know, I feel really overwhelmed. And, what Stephen said, that I get overwhelmed, I get upset, and it comes into my behavior. But I also am aware that for me to then overcome that anxiety, what do I need to do? So I very recently in the workplace, I became very anxious, and I thought, okay, it showed up in my behavior, and I knew it was showing up in my behavior. So, okay, what do I need to do? So I sat down and I wrote down all the things that needs to be done. And as soon as I did that, the feeling, because, you feel it in your body. When you feel anxiety, you don't just feel it, in your head, but you feel, it comes into your body. So I knew that I was feeling this. So I thought, okay, what do I need to do? So I started writing down everything that I needed to actually achieve. And then after I put gave a number. And that actually made me feel a lot better because, it wasn't all in my head, it was in a piece of paper. So I could deal with all those tasks that I needed to do. So that's one technique, because I think not as children we experience anxiety, but as an adult we experience anxiety as well. So I think it's learning to learn how to deal with that anxiety, instead of putting our head in the sand, you know, and say, you know what, it will go away, because you're not going to go away. Because I have got to be the one who's got to find the solution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lucia.
Oh, thank you. I just want to mention again, like Soham, previous experience when I didn't know the word for anxiety. When I was, for example, a test is coming up, or something, some very important kind of end of the year, assessments and stuff. And so I knew that there is a little bit fear in me, but I was accepting it in a way that it didn't actually scares me. Like there wasn't fear of the fear that I'm experiencing. It was more like I was accepting it. And the other thing which I can now remember, it was the physical changes in my body. For example, the palpitation, I kind of accept as excitement. And so sometimes I was jumping around the house, up and down, up and down, up and down. And when my parents asked me why I'm acting crazy, I was like, oh my God, my test is coming. And so I'm so excited about it, but I'm really scared. And so I kind of mixed both feelings together, and I didn't kind of made a big fuss about it, or crying over, because I just didn't know the anxiety word, if that makes sense. And kind of in my world, I was trying to explain this in a different way. And so I kind of was, because I knew what is excitement, I kind of like took one and took another. I was like, I'm excited, but I'm a little bit scared. And so I just running up and down, because I had like the physical energy and a lot for me to just, like a steam, which I needs to like be let go of. That's for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Lucia. Yeah, this is what most of the time is the case, that when they're students and children, they are not able to express what actually they are going through in their hearts or in their minds. So let me share a screen, but we'll understand that what goes there a little bit. So anxiety is a feeling of unease, such as we have worry, we have some fear, as we have been shared by many of you. And it can be some degree, can be a mild or can be a severe one. We all have felt it, as we have shared it sometimes of our point. Very completely normal. The certain amount of anxiety perhaps helps us, because we are more alert, more focused about the surroundings. If we need to be alert, if something important needs to be done, we can be more alert and focused. And how it stems? It stems from our basic helpful response, that is our protective mechanism, which is called fight and flight response. So what happens when we are confronted with any real danger or any perceived threat or danger? It's our body, it's the brain's mechanism to safeguard our body's physical survival. So our body releases certain natural chemicals, which we call adrenaline or the cortisol. They alter the various nervous function in our body and giving our body a burst of energy and strength, so that we are better able to fight or flight in from the situation. We can escape from the dangerous place and safeguard our life and for the survival purpose. So what happens at that moment? We have heart palpitation. We may have wet hands. We may have some kind of shaky legs, or maybe stomach aches or butterflies in the stomach, or maybe some dizziness in our eyes. We're not properly able to focus on something. So this happens, and though it is a very friendly adrenaline, but it results, as we can describe them as anxious feelings or anxiety. And we feel nervous. These feelings, like, our nerves are on edge. We have to do something. Something is attacking us. What we can do at that moment. So it is a worried state of coming out of a fear or unknown factor, which we do not know what's going to happen. But how does it happen? There is a cycle. We have some kind of thought or some kind of real danger, perceived danger, something that comes worry from the future, which we uncertainty, where we feel uncertain about what is the outcome. So what happens? Our body reacts in the same way in the flight or fight response, because it wants to safeguard us, and we have a lot of physical or mental anxiety symptoms. And then when we realize that these are the symptoms which are related to danger, but these symptoms are harmless in themselves. There's nothing going to us. When this realization can, and after some time, when nothing happens or we get distracted towards some other thing, these symptoms die down. And or even if the danger is passed away from, we are out of that situation, which was maybe sometimes be real, which we feel afraid of. So that when situation is passed on, we feel a little calm, and these symptoms and these feelings, anxiety, anxiousness, these die down, and we become to normal status. So what is the basic cycle behind it, if I see? So it comes from some kind of a thought. If we say there is a thought, then it comes, leads to a feeling. Something like, bad is going to happen to me. So what happens? I feel anxious, I feel tension, I feel, my breathing may become a little pacey, my heartbeat may faster, or my muscles tighten, and that kind of a behavior. I show a behavior. I maybe do not want to go there at that place once again. I want to make excuses and want to leave that place. I want to feel that, okay, how to cope this situation. So my behavior, I will never try to go away there. I will procrastinate for the things because I'm feeling anxious, and these thoughts which make me anxious. So thought is the seed from where this anxiety comes. So then we go to but it is for us, like we were talking about adult as our own self, so there might be different reasons in children, especially the small children. They have a lot of fear about something happening to their parents, or they are afraid of being alone. They are afraid of, darkness. So when they face these things, their body reacts in the same way, which they are not able to understand. And when they are teenagers, they have a lot of other pressures. So the first of them is that meeting the expectations in their educational field or behavioral field, social norms to their parents, expectations of the parents, expectations of the adults, teachers specifically in their grading system. The second comes, they have a lot of peer pressure. They want to fit in the circle which they belong to. They want to be a part of certain group of people. And that creates a lot of pressure and anxiety in them. Because if there are a lot of worries if they reject me, perceived rejection is a thought source of, like, their body feels that as a danger. And then the next thing comes when they feel about their body image, how they look as a teenager. They start giving attention to their image, their looks, their appearance, and how they are comparing with other people. So that creates a lot of anxiety, feeling that not good enough at that person. So these things create a lot of anxiety. And the other thing, as I have, from the very day the child comes into this world, there is anxiety all over. So they see people around them going for the lot of struggle in their life, sometimes fulfilling the responsibilities, running from the day early in the morning to the late at night working. And then, so they get afraid of getting, adult or going into that kind of life. What will happen there? Will we be able to bear all these responsibilities? So they are become of a shriek of bearing responsibilities, afraid of responsibility once they grow up. What will happen to them? How they will be able to cope up all that the parents are going through that, the adults are going through. So these are the main reasons that teenagers and young adults feel anxiety about it. They, worry about it. So what happens? The symptoms, but as an adult, because we know that they are not able to understand what's going on, they are not able to express what is going on into them, how they're feeling, and because many of the times they are not open, this freedom, that free environment is not provided to them, so that they can share how they are feeling, very freely with their parents or adults, even the teachers. So first symptom we can notice in them, if we want to help them, there is the distraction. But what we do, we respond in an angry way that, okay, if we are all distracted, they don't focus on. But it is not only that they are not interested. It may be a reason that they are feeling anxiety. And they indulge in, if we ask them to do something, they will do very unimportant tasks to just to show to get involved in something. And they, as far as the young children are concerned, they become more clingy to their parents. As I told you, that their main fear comes from the three things: something bad happening to their parents, something, or a loneliness, or the dark. And this eating disorders also is a part of, maybe it can come from the feeling of anxiety which they are not able to express, they are not able to talk about it. Then there is sleeping disorders. They are not able to sleep properly. They will sleep in the early morning or in the daytime. They will keep awake in the night. So their normal behavior will not be there. And then procrastination is one of the things. Okay, we all know about that. What is procrastination? They keep on postponing the thing. In the morning hour, they will do, I will do in the afternoon. In the afternoon, they will say in the evening, and then they will say in the night and the next day. So they will not actually fulfill the responsibility or the task, but they keep on procrastinating it. They won't say I don't want to do, but they will not do eventually. The others is that they may avoid socialization. They want to remain alone. This typically happens with the teenagers and the young adults. So they will, they avoid all kind of conversations, talkings, and even get angry or frustrated if somebody wants to, talk to them. And their concentration is very poor. If they want to focus on, they cannot focus. And we, as a teacher, as a parents, we say, where is your attention? Why don't you listen to us? What, pay attention? What don't you concentrate on what is in front of you? But actually, they are, because of the anxiety, they are not able to do that, and they become restless. In there, they can't sit at one place. They can't, their body is actually taking them there, and they are like Lucia said, up and down, up and down. So this kind of, so they become restless. And then again, symptom is they get angry very easily, frustrated, irritated. And if the young children, they even may cry at times without any particular reason. And as Matt even shared about that, they can have self-harm is there. So when they become so much of it, they don't understand themselves, they can't share it with any other person. And even, so they self-harm, like abusing drugs, these kind of habits, they come into teenagers, and because of the result of anxiety they are going through. And other physical symptoms, most of the time, young children and the young teenagers, they will say they are having frequent headache, with stomach. Even if you take them to doctor, nothing, you will find nothing. Doctor will say there is no, that your child is perfect. But actually, this headache, this stomachache, this low energy, or the physical symptoms are coming from they are the result of anxiety. They are going through the anxiety which they are not able to understand, which they are not able to share about. And also, when they can start talking about negative things about themselves, about the results that will happening to them. And perfectionism is also one of the symptom of anxiety. Actually, it is a cause and effect of both of them. So if your child says, okay, that he or she wants to do something which very perfectly, in a very perfect way, so you can become alert a little about that. That how it's a picture that shows us that they become more clingy, they become restless, and they complain about their stomach ache, headaches, and their behavioral change, eating habits, sleeping habits can change. They struggle with the concentration and paying attention, and they may have a bout of unexpected crying, and they get upset very easily, angry, irritated very easily, and they have negative conversation, negative thoughts most of the time. So here I would just like to ask, everyone share. So have you all might have been experienced with the children around you in your home, if you're educated in your school, neighborhood. So have you noticed any symptom, this kind of experience with children around you, students, children around you? You can talk about, you can share. That just yeah, you can take a moment to recall the children around you and how do they behave. Have you noticed anything from anybody that they complain of headache, stomach, or they are clingy, they don't leave their parents?
Well, my friend's daughter gets a lot of yeah, stomach pains. And the reaction of her is to leave at home from school. And I don't know if it's really helpful because she then misses a lot of school, which then adds to the anxiety because she's missing what's going on and subjects, and she doesn't know what the homework is. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 in that case.
It may be because, sometimes there might be something that makes the child anxious in the school, somebody torturing or something, pressurizing. So, and if they leave parents, so the stomach ache is in the primary children, school going children or 6th and this is very common because they don't want to go to school. It is a kind of place where they might feel, anxious because teachers are not so much affectionate as their parents. They want them to do something, and sometimes they want all attention from the teacher, which is they are not getting all the time. So that makes them anxious, not fair. So this is a very, very, in my schooling years, I have noticed that it's a very common problem in the primary students, and it is not real. They just, say that. And if you really love them, then I try to understand. At that time, I wasn't into the psychology and all that thing, but now when I recall those conversations, so I can understand that yes, it was anxiety. It was one of the part of it, that yes, they were behaving like that. So yes, I know that there are a lot of things, but the only thing is that they are not able to express what's going in them. So as an adult, it is our responsibility to notice the symptoms and to try to understand them and be very compassionate and kind with them too when you are talking about. But most of the time 90% of the parents, they do not do it. That is why almost approximately in India 15% of children experience anxiety. It's a big number if you think about it. 15% is a big number that they are going through anxiety, and it's the recent report, August 22, not very far, very old.
Sorry, did you say 15 or 50?
15.
15, yeah.
15% children. It's a quite big number. A tough double-digit number. Yeah. And that is in India only. I'm not talking about the world. Anybody else has any experience? Yes, Lucia.
I don't have a kids. I don't have experience with kids, but I have experience with myself. So I was mysteriously sick every Tuesday because I had a painting classes with a teacher that actually was I would say abusing me in a way, just like with words and the way she acts. And she was like just ripping my paintings and was saying like I'm not good enough, to be there. And so it took a good couple of weeks to my parents to, just see the pattern. I'm good Monday, Tuesday I'm mysteriously sick, and then Wednesday I'm good again, good to go to school. Because actually my first 2 hours were painting every Tuesday. So then they had to sit me down and actually have a discussion, and I was feeling extremely anxious to tell them why. And the interesting thing is, because of the anxiety, actually at some point I really start feeling physically ill. So I kind of, whatever mindset I had or whatever I believed about not going to school on Tuesday, I actually really, really physically created the reasons for it, like vomiting and stomach pain and dizziness and all of the things which Anu said, that actually really happened. So that's personal experience.
Yeah, thank you, Lucia, for sharing that experience with us. So this is how, we have to be extra, attentive towards this to children, being caring, actually, more caring, more compassionate towards children, that what's going on because they are not able to understand properly the word. The next thing we can do, we understand that we can help them to how to cope with this time. Yeah, Soham, yeah, please.
Can I just add something to this?
Yeah, sure.
From what Lucia was saying, that if we don't work with our children at that age, what they will do is they will carry into adulthood. Because I work in human resources, I see people go off sick. But the real problem is sometimes it's not the real sick, they are physically sick. There's things going on in the workplace that they cannot deal with. So because they cannot deal with it, they create a problem in their health. So they go sick. And, and I often tell employees, not as an HR of the company, but I say it as a human being, that look, if you have a problem with your manager, if you've got issue with somewhere, you need to actually communicate that. Unless you don't communicate it, you're not going to overcome this feeling of anxiety or this feeling of, you're feeling sick in the stomach, you're feeling, unhappy. That won't go away until you address it. So, we don't actually identify in the children at the childhood stage, then they will carry it into adulthood.
Yes, and especially when it comes to the times of exams or something, they have a lot of these thoughts of how will I appear in the examination? What if I forget I have learned it something? Or what if I, and then they are when in exam, my mind goes wandering here and there, how I will be able to concentrate, or even if the exam is over, they worry about the result, how they have fared in the examination. So all these things actually they disturb them at the time. But as an adult, parents and teachers, we can help them to learn the strategies that can, they can cope. Even okay, when they are young adults or a little adolescent, it is easy to have a conversation about talking about these things. That okay, how they can learn without blaming them. Okay, these things happen in life. You may have some fears, you may have some worries, but if you follow these techniques, so then you can be a better, cope with the this whatever going on with the anxiety or the stress which you are feeling. So let me share my screen once again. We will have a quick look about the strategies. These were the some thoughts I was thinking about that at the time of exam. It comes to them. And then, yes, so this is a, keep calm and coping skill that how they can use. There are, sometimes either thoughts are very, very important. What I am thinking. So we can experience in the varying degree the anxiety. So what we can do it, what my thinking is, that we can challenge the unhelpful thought. If, like suppose I say, what if I forget whatever I learned in my for my examination? So this is an unhelpful thought. I can challenge that thought. Okay, this is not, and then second thing is some breathing exercises. Other one is called as the Apple technique. It's an abbreviations. So what we do when the unhelpful or distorting thinking comes, so we can challenge that thought. Okay, this thought is not helping me. It is maybe exaggerated. It is outside our awareness. So we have it become automatic habit. Gradually, we are not aware. So first thing is become aware of what thoughts are going in the mind. Are they? So then you notice the thoughts. Then you challenge it. If it is true, is it true that I forget everything? No. Rewrite it. No, I do not forget everything. And then be mindful. When you become aware, it will pass. It will not, and there is no thought that remains in the mind from morning till evening. It will go away. So then you can involve in some other activities. If something is really bothering you, you can talk to your parents, you can talk to your friend, or maybe you can go to the garden or watch the nature or have a little walk, some exercise. That will help you because you are avoiding your attention from that thought to some other activity. Next is the breathing exercise. It's very easy to focus on your breathing at the moment that you have some thought, that kind of feeling, if you don't even want to think about what thoughts were going in. So the moment you start feeling kind of anxious, feeling worrying or something, pay attention to your, breathing, how the breath goes inside, going out, coming outside, or you maybe become a little mindful of about, observing your surroundings. So there are very good small techniques that can be done anywhere, everywhere. So we will practice it in our short while. Right now, it's a very 2-minute exercise only that will help it. And it's not necessary that you do these exercise only at the time of when you are feeling anxious. You can create a habit of doing it every day, so that it will help you keep calm. It's a good skill. Again, Apple technique is first of all, it says acknowledge the thoughts and the feelings so that are going on. Take a little breath, and observe that thought, take a back seat and think about that. Is it right, helpful, or it is not? It is, should we, I believe it, because every thought is not a fact. It is cannot be a true feeling. So you have to decide it whether it is true or it is not true. And then you have to let it go because it's just a thought. It's just a feeling. It's not the reality. Or you can even imagine like then a bubble, bubbles, a soap coming, floating away from one side to the other side. They faded away. And then you can have some present moment awareness. Where are you? What are you doing at this moment?
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Thank you, Rashmi. We're moving
Yeah,
on to
I
the
know.
next section. Just take a couple minutes and finish up. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure, sure. So becoming mindfulness at that moment is very, very important. And then the main thing is as an adult that not only we ourselves become aware of anxiety and the skills coping with anxiety, teach the students and the children that how they can cope up. And the most important thing, an open communication about their feeling whenever you notice any kind of symptom. If anybody has any questions, sorry, a little bit, yeah, for the delay of 2-3 minutes. Thank you so much, Stephen, for providing me this opportunity. If anybody has any question, if Stephen allows me.
Well, let's move the questions on, and we'll have another panel discussion following this event. So we'll move the questions into the panel discussion. So if you could, Rashmi, be available for the panel discussion, it'll be a wonderful opportunity. Thank you for such an information-packed, wonderful topic. Your experience and breadth of information goes deep. And you may actually be okay to speak. I'm looking forward to Queenie. I don't see her here. I know she's with us, but she's off working on something else. There she is. It is her time. Queenie is we've lost her video, but hopefully she'll be able to hear us. There she is. So